Hi YouTube. I spent the last two videos talking about my toxic sister-in-law and the drama that has been going on in my family for over a year now. If you haven't seen the other two videos, the link to their playlist is in the description below. My toxic sister-in-law came into my life about 4 years ago. It's funny how as soon as one narcissist or toxic person leaves your life, it's like the hive mind recognizes there's a void in the universe that needs to be filled. If you're not careful, another one will come along to take their place. 4 years ago, when I stopped doing YouTube videos, I thought I was healed and the drama was gone from my life. My ex-husband, that I affectionately refer to as douchebag, and have his number in my phone under that same name, was no longer an issue. He wasn't causing drama and was for the most part starting to be a reasonable person. I let my guard down, and that's when this woman slipped in under the radar and into my family's life. In a way, I should be grateful to this toxic person because if it hadn't been for her toxic and dangerous behaviors, I wouldn't be moving into a brand new house next month. It was the straw that broke the camel's back for me to finally get away and to move away from this toxic situation. This video is about the Come to Jesus meeting that happened last year over the surprise attack that was disguised as a family dinner. My sister-in-law had started drama weeks before by initiating a smear campaign and trying to convince my mother that I am what's wrong with the family. She was engaging in histrionic behavior and she wanted to deflect attention or garner sympathy. I confronted her and told her that she could not continue acting like a toddler at the dinner table and running upstairs every time someone said a curse word or disagreed with her. I couldn't say anything at the dinner table without her being triggered. And it was like she was listening to every word I said, just waiting to be offended. When I confronted her about the smear campaign, she called my brother and pretended to leave him, saying, "I can't live like this anymore. I'm leaving." She drove off in her car, and then my brother came home and wanted to take this outside, like he wanted to fight me. The kids and I stayed away from my parents' house for several weeks to give them time to calm down. I thought things had gone back to normal, but I was still avoiding my brother and sister-in-law. I tried to go as little contact as possible with them, but it's hard to go no contact when you live next door to them. My brother and sister-in-law live with my parents and refuse to look for a place of their own. One night, my kids went out to dinner with my ex-husband, so my mother invited me to dinner. I was told that my brother and his wife would not be there as they always go out on the weekends, so I accepted my mother's invitation. As soon as I arrived, I discovered my brother was there and having dinner with us. Honestly, I should have turned around and left. It was a trap. I should have been able to see it coming a mile away. The dinner was very awkward. My brother sat across from me, but his wife didn't make an appearance. She was upstairs the whole time. I tried to make small talk with my parents, but my brother just kept glaring at me. After dinner, I was helping my mother clean up when she came behind me and whispered, "Your brother wants us to sit down and have a discussion." I should have left at that point, but I was under the false impression that maybe he and his wife wanted to work things out. I had forgotten that I'm the family scapegoat and that I was about to be put on trial. We sat down on opposite sides of the living room with my mother sitting in a rocking chair in between, almost like a referee or judge in a courtroom. My father would have nothing to do with this. He left and went to sit in his easy chair in the other room. My sister-in-law descended the staircase slowly like she was royalty. As soon as I saw her walking that way with her nose up in the air like a French poodle, I knew this was not going to go well at all. She sat down next to my brother, and my mother spoke up saying, "There has been a lot of things said between all of you, and a lot of hurt feelings, and I just want us to be a happy family again that can sit down at the dinner table together. Someone is going to have to be the bigger person here." Before I could even say anything, my brother spoke up saying, and this is how he talks, I'm not making fun of him, I like doing voices and comedy. "Raven, you have really hurt me and hurt my wife, and you caused Christina to have a panic attack, causing her to drive off like that. How dare you come into this house and talk to my wife like that? You could have waited until I got home, and we could have discussed this together." Right off the bat, my brother was angry again and yelling at me, pointing his finger. The way we had left things weeks ago, we had actually hugged and told each other we loved each other and that he was doing what he could to get his wife into therapy for her issues. I had been completely honest with her and tried to have a civil conversation, but she was the one that had escalated things and started screaming at me. Now the tables had turned, and my brother no longer agreed that his histrionic wife needed counseling. He was on board with the idea that I'm the scapegoat and need to be dealt with. He went on to say, "When you got married, I lost my sister. I never felt like your husband was a brother to me, and I always wanted a brother." He started to act like he was going to cry over never having a brother, and then said, "Do you know why I asked Sean to be my best man? 'Cause he's more than a friend to me. He's a brother." I guess implying that I'm not really his sister. Truth be told, I haven't felt like I've had a brother for years myself. I finally spoke up at this point and said, "I was angry that you were using our mother as a messenger. What I should have said, actually, to them, was that your wife started a smear campaign trying to turn my own mother against me, but I didn't say that. Instead, I said, you two have a problem with me and my daughter, and you went through our mother to tell me that. You sat her down for over 2 hours that night telling her how I'm the problem with everything wrong in this family and that I'm a bad mother because my teenagers said bullshit. How I parent my children is none of your business." My brother got angry, and I could see he wanted to fly off that couch and hit me. His fists were balled up, and his face was red like a cartoon character. He then said, "Every time someone in this house says a curse word, including your children, it is disrespectful to our parents. The next time one of your children says a curse word at the dinner table, and you don't step up and be a parent, I'm going to step up and be the parent they need." I kept my tone respectful and quiet every time I answered him because I wanted my mother to see how unreasonable they are and that I'm not the one causing drama. I answered my brother again, "Look, it's none of your business how I raise my children. You have no authority over them. You are their uncle. It's none of your business." The more I told him that, the angrier he got, and the more he raised his voice. I said, "I have spoken with my kids about their language and not to use profanity, and they are working on it, so what is the problem here?" Christina butted into the conversation at this point and said, "Why do they have to work on it? They should just be able to correct their language. You are not raising your kids in a godly manner. I will not tolerate homosexuality or profanity in my presence." My dad was in the other room watching TV, and he cursed at the television almost right on cue. I leaned over and yelled into the other room, "Hey, Dad, don't curse. They might get offended. It's disrespectful." This made them angrier. Now my brother changed tactics and accused me of being gay by saying, "Why does your daughter think she is gay? Tell me the real reason she thinks she is gay." I should have made up something at that point, like I have a secret hot Russian girlfriend, but I was trying to be the only adult in the room and keep my cool. I reminded them that both of our cousins are gay men with husbands, so it must run in our family. It's genetic. That pissed them off as well, and he tried to lecture me about the sin of homosexuality, but my mother interrupted by saying, "Someone needs to be the bigger person here." Of course, it's always the scapegoat that has to be the bigger person. My brother interrupted her and said, "Raven, you owe Christina an apology for telling her that you don't like her. You caused her to have a panic attack that day. She has anxiety from her childhood, and you triggered her. You don't know how upset it made her. I've had to hold her in my arms every night as she cries herself to sleep over this whole situation." Now, I don't for one moment think she's crying herself to sleep over the relationship with her sister-in-law. That is 100% manipulation. He went on to say, "We don't live in our mom's house because we want to. We live here out of necessity because we can't afford to move anywhere else." I had to stop myself from rolling my eyes because I kept thinking, you both have good jobs and make more money than me combined. How is it that you have no money? "You owe Christina an apology for causing her to have a panic attack." At that point, I thought, what the hell? If this will stop this insanity, I'll be the bigger person. Now, I know that that's not the case, but I was willing to give it a shot. I learned quickly that narcissists and toxic people only want their pound of flesh, and when the scapegoat is on trial, no one is going to come to your defense. I said, Christina, I'm truly sorry if I caused you to have a panic attack. I had them regularly when I was married to a very toxic person, and I'm sorry if I made you feel that way. When I said I don't like you, what I should have said was that I like you as a person, but I don't like your behavior. I knew that was a lie, but I was hoping my mother would see I was making an effort to end this. Christina responded by saying, "What do you mean you don't like my behavior?" I said, "You run up the stairs every time someone says something you don't like." I can't talk about anything at the dinner table without worrying that some random word or subject is going to set you off. You hold everyone at the dinner table hostage, and then you have your husband demand an apology. You act like a child, and I don't know what is going to trigger you. Well, whatever I said at that point triggered the narcissist in her, because she began to yell at the top of her lungs about how there is nothing wrong with her behavior and that I am the problem in this family. She said I was the one causing all the tension at the dinner table and that she knows my kids don't like her, and that must be my fault too. She said we were such a happy family a year ago, and now there's so much tension in the air. She went on yelling at me in a narcissistic rage for 10 full minutes because I timed it by looking at the clock behind her. She even accused me of assaulting her. I stopped her and said, I did not attack you. Don't accuse me of that. She changed her words and said, well, you didn't assault me physically, but you assaulted me with your words. I kept thinking, yeah, like you're doing to me right now. I stayed silent and let her get her pound of flesh. I figured at this point they would be satisfied. I had apologized. I had told them I had corrected my children's behavior, and she had yelled until her voice was hoarse. I mean, really, she was hoarse. She needed something to drink after this, like some water. I figured this was enough, right? They had their say, and now we could move on. Nope, I was wrong. My mother let this whole thing play out for almost an hour. They kept going back and forth, and I finally said, I feel like there's something else you want from me. What can I do for us to come to a consensus and move on? As soon as I said that, my brother chimed in saying, the next time your kids say a curse word at the dinner table and you don't step up and be a parent, I interrupted him and said, look, we've been over this. It's none of your business how I raise my children. It's like you're anticipating being offended. I can't control what offends you. Only you can control whether you get offended or not. My brother said, fine, then I'll just leave the dinner table if you refuse to be a parent. I finally said, look, we're circling the airport. We need to land this plane. What do you want from me? Neither one of them could tell me what they wanted other than to yell and scream at me and act like they have some moral high ground. I finally ended this kangaroo court by saying I had to pick up my kids. Narcissists can hold a grudge for a long time, so even though I had apologized to my brother weeks earlier and now tried to apologize and be the bigger person again, they just couldn't let it go. Unfortunately, that wasn't the end of things. My mother called me and tried to convince me to come back to family dinners, but I refused. It was during that conversation that I started to notice her memory slipping. She accused me of starting all the drama and didn't remember that my brother had yelled at my daughter one night at the dinner table, or that Christina had run up the stairs in tears over the word bullshit. She didn't even remember the smear campaign conversation where they sat her down at her own dinner table for 2 hours to try and convince her that I'm everything wrong with this family. She said that she was not going to say anything to my brother about his behavior or his wife's behavior because she didn't want to lose my brother. I realized she was more afraid of losing her son husband than losing her daughter and only grandkids. I knew then I was the black sheep and the scapegoat. I've been as no contact as I can for my brother and his wife since that incident a year ago. After Christina accused me of assaulting her, I told my mother that to protect me and the kids, I don't want to be within 1,000 feet of that woman. I think she's the kind of person that would call the police and say I hit her or attacked her. My ex used the same tactics. He would threaten to call the police and say I hit him. He would hit himself with whatever object handy and then say, look, I'll tell them you did this to me and I'll have you arrested. You'll go to jail and never see the kids again. I truly believe this woman is dangerous, or at the very least unstable. I don't want her around me or the children. The drama didn't stop at this conversation. She recently sent me a 2012-word text message that I'm saving as evidence if I ever have to appear in court because of her. I'll go into the text message in the next video. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and leave a thumbs up and a comment to let me know what you think. Take care.